The River by Twin Tribes is comprised of 6 different sections, and across those 6, we are going to cover 3 different guitar parts. Before jumping in, I want to give a shout out to my patrons on Patreon. It's your support that allows me to continue to create this content to share across these platforms. Thank you. I truly appreciate your support. If you're looking for tabs for the River, you can locate them on my Patreon along with various other transcriptions, including more Twin Tribes content. They can be accessed by either becoming a paid member or as individual purchases on my feed and within my shop. It's important to note with the tablature that the capo is not reflective of 0 because I find it to be easier to reference the frets for the actual numbers that they are when we're playing distances that span a significant amount of the fretboard versus us having to do additional mental math to compensate for the capo. We're in the key of C minor with the capo at the 3rd fret, and a ton of this is going to wrap around our minor 1 chord, our C. The intro, the pre-verses, the verses, and the outro are all going to overlap with one another because they're all comprised of the same core riffs. With that being said, I believe it's easier to examine these as 2 separate riffs or passages, which may be how it was written in the first place, and we're going to break it down as such. As always, we will be subbing out picking amounts and rhythms with language. 1 hit will be bean, 2 hits will be taco, 3 hits will be burrito, 4 hits will be quesadilla, when and where applicable. The methodology behind this concept is that it will allow us to incorporate speed in a more fluid fashion, and it'll also trigger cues when we're going to start transitioning. Everything from this first riff is going to set us up for what we're going to end up doing with the second riff. This section is going to be 8 bars in total, but in true Twin Tribes form, we're going to be working in 2 measure phrases. When we start to split this up, the first 4 bars are going to have the same core that's going to repeat. Here's what we mean. So with the capo clamped at the 3rd fret, we are going to pedal a C, the 3rd fret on that 5th string, and we are going to change notes on the 4th string only. We're going to play the 10th fret, the 6th fret, and then the 5th fret. The 10th fret is C, the 6th fret is A flat, and then the 5th fret is G. So we have the octave, the flat 6, and then we have the 5th, the power chord. We're going to be drilling straight 8th notes across that first measure. So our pattern is going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We're going to hit the 10th fret twice. 1 and 2 and 3 and then we're going to do it one more for another group of 2 before we hit the 6th fret once. And all using the 5th string in between those groupings to separate them. 1 taco, then bean. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And in true Twin Tribes form, we are going to be staggering our 8th notes in the second measure. So we're going to come to that same 6th fret and hit it one more time. But this time when we do it, we're going to hit it on the and of 1, and then that 6th fret is going to come down on beat 2. It'll be 1 and 2. Right after that, we're going to go to the last note, and then we're going to hit 3 and 4 and. So we're going to hit the 3rd fret, and then we're going to hit the 5th fret 3 times, which will make it burrito. As we piece that whole thing together, it will sound like this. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 taco, then bean, then burrito. There's a few different ways that one can analyze and interpret the ending riff in this section. The bass goes from C in the first 4 bars as we're playing the first half of that riff, and then he shifts down to A flat for the last 4. So it could be A flat major, where when we start this on the 10th fret at C again, there's the 3rd, or we could just be thinking about this whole riff as just another C minor lick. Because we're going to be playing C, D on the 4th string, the 10th to the 12th frets, and then we're going to grab the 15th fret, B flat, and then G on the 3rd string, the 12th fret. So now we're into the last 4 bars of this section and still working in 2 measure subphrases. Bars 7 through 8 are going to be a repetition of bars 5 through 6. So as we set up this riff, we are going to be staggering our 8th notes once again. We're going to hit this 10th fret, but we're going to hit it on the and of 1, 1 and 2, and then finish it on beat 2. And then we're going to hit it 3 more times, 3 and 4 and, until we go up to the 12th fret. So it'll be 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and. After you come up to this 12th fret, we're going to hit it 2 more times, but once again, our 8th notes will be staggered. We're going to come in on the and of 1, 1 and 2, and hit it twice, and then that'll set you up to grab the 15th fret on the 3rd string, and we're going to hit this twice to your index finger once, and right here, we're on beat 3, 3 and 4, 3 and 4. And now our change back to the 10th fret to repeat this is going to feel abrupt, because when we finish that 4th beat, we jump straight to that 10th fret on the and of 4. So the whole thing is going to end up restarting on the and of 4 instead of on the and of 1. And when we start piecing this together, it's finding where the beat is at to help it flow. So when he repeats it the second time, he's luckily going to do it all the exact same way that he did it the first time, with the exception of when we finish the 3 and 4 and, he's going to pick that 12th fret twice. So altogether, it'll sound like this: 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and. Or if we're incorporating the language concept, it'll be 3, 4, 1, taco, burrito, move, taco, taco, repeat, 1, taco, burrito, move, taco, taco, taco. So the reason that it's really helpful to conceptualize this with this 2 riff concept is because the second riff is virtually the same as the first one. The only thing that ends up being different is the first measure of the first phrase. We are still keeping our index finger on the 10th fret, but instead our pattern is now going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and, also encompassing the same beats at the same times that we had them from the first riff. So we hit the 5th string, 3rd fret from where the capo is at. We jump down to the 3rd string, our B flat to make it a minor 7th chord, and then our index finger is still playing the octave. 1 taco, and then we 1 and 2 and 3 and. Aside from this new pattern, over the first 3 beats, everything else in that part of the riff is going to play out the exact same way over the same parts of the beats that they did originally in the first riff. We're still going to go to the same A flat, the 6th fret, the same 5th fret. They all hit the same amounts of times, and the ending will also be the same. Something that's important to note is that when the verses start and he's singing, Luis doesn't play the ending to any of the sections. He doesn't do the... Instead, what he ordinarily does, at least from what I've seen, he ends up playing that 5th fret on the 4th string, the G, and he pushes through it as a chord, and then he plays this and holds it out for 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, then he shifts to the right, and then he goes to that same A flat from earlier, the 6th fret, and then he pushes this for the last 2 measures. So every time that he's in the verse and then that ending pops up, ordinarily this is what I've seen him do. I also don't believe that Luis is really concerned with how all these notes impact one another in terms of a chord. Like he has G already from the 3rd fret of the 1st string, and then he has D. So if he's thinking about it as like a C minor chord, he has the minor 7th, he has a 9, and then he has the 5th. But I don't think he's really viewing it as that. I believe that it's more of a color thing, and it just adds more atmosphere to what's happening. But the more you know. So once we have those riffs, now we differentiate when and where they're going to occur throughout the different sections of the song. So the intro is the first riff in its entirety. And we're going to end up playing that whole thing twice. So we get to the pre-chorus, and the first pre-chorus is going to be the first half of it. So we're not going to go up to the last 4 bars. It's going to be and then once we cross those 4, that's when he starts singing, and then we play that section, that whole second riff, the way that we learned it, with the endings and all. So then that takes us to the second pre-verse after the first chorus. When we hit that pre-verse, the second one, we will play the first riff in its entirety only once. And when we get to the outro is going to be a combination of riff A and riff B. And we will play each of them one time, and then that will conclude the entire song. As we get into the chorus, we are still working in 2-measure phrases. We're going to have a 4-bar chorus with 4 chords spanning those 4 bars. Here we're going to start incorporating a rhythmic motive and a real sequence, which essentially just means that whatever we do in regards to our picking pattern in the first 2 chords, it'll be exactly the same in the last 2 chords because of the intervallic relationship of those chords. We're going to be playing straight 8th notes across the first measure, and we are going to have an inverse picking pattern of what occurred in the first half of riff A. So we're going to keep the C minor theme, and we're going to play our ring finger on that same C, the 10th fret of the 4th string, and your index finger is going to play E flat, the 3rd, the minor 3rd, on the 8th fret of that 3rd string. We're going to pick the 4th string twice, and then go to the 3rd string and hit it once, and then we'll do that 2 times, as in 1 and 2 and 3 and then we're going to finish on your ring finger for the downbeat of 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or taco bean then. That brings us to the and of 4, where our chord changes are going to occur. So when we change chords, we're going to play the 8th fret on the 4th string, the 7th fret on the 3rd string, and then the 8th fret on the 2nd string. You can finger this with 3, 2, 4, or you could also finger it with 2, 1, 3. Player's poison. I go back and forth, but a lot of the time I just keep my ring finger on the 4th string, and that'll also happen in the last 2 chords as well. This could be an E flat major chord or an E flat 6, pardon me, or it could also be a G minor with your root on the 2nd string. Once we get to the and of 4, we are going to stagger our 8th notes one more time. So we're going to arpeggiate this, and when we do, we're going to go from the 4th string to the 3rd string, back up to the 4th string, and then we're going to hit the 3rd, 2nd, or pardon me, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and finish on the 3rd. So this will come in on the and of 1, and it'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or 1 burrito quesadilla. So when we take those 2 chords and piece them together, we're going to come in on 1. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Or with the language, ready, go. Taco bean, then move. Burrito quesadilla. So now we get to really double down on our time and take that exact pattern that we had from those first two chords and lift it and drop it into the last two chords, which will be D minor, your ring finger on the 12th fret of that 4th string, and then your index finger on the 10th fret of the 3rd string. And then that'll get you to shift 1 fret to your right to the 13th fret, E flat. And we'll have the same shape that we played from the 2nd chord in the 1st phrase. So it'll be 13, 12, 13 from the 4th to the 3rd to the 2nd string. This is E flat 6, or you can look at it as a C minor chord depending. But the most paramount thing is that pattern that we had just played in D drops in over this. So it'll be ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So as we piece that whole thing together, it'll be ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and taco bean and move. Burrito, quesadilla. And then it'll repeat. Thank you for taking your time to check out this video. If you liked it, leave it a like. Leave me some feedback in the comments. I read and respond to virtually everything. I love teaching, I love twin tribes, and I love teaching twin tribes. If you're interested in supporting me, there is a link to my Patreon in the description of this video, in the comments of this video, and there's a link in my bio. Patrons get exclusive access to my content and are also able to give me input and make requests for what it is that I'm going to break down and transcribe and teach. I'm truly excited to continue growing this community and impart as much knowledge as I can to help others. If you're interested in learning other Twin Tribe songs such as Cauldron of Thorns and Monolith, I've made playlists on my channel of no talking and full in-depth lessons, so that way they're easier to locate and find. Thank you again for watching my content. Enjoy your day.